Hey guys, I cannot wait to yap on about some absolutely amazing books I've read last year, because what's better than talking about absolutely fantastic books and be able to share it? I'm not going to put these in any particular order, like top to best to worst or anything, because that changes depending on mood. Because these books, these are ones that have just lived rent free in my head and this year, and they just keep coming back. I keep thinking about, and I just have really left a mark, as well as had a brilliant reading experience that I enjoyed with characters that I've sort of really fallen for, and I can't wait to share this with you guys. So let's get started. So again, in no particular order, we have Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which I know I'm late to, but it is just such an addictive read. So I don't know what these pages laced with. Probably don't want to know, but it is just so digestible, so readable. My first Taylor Jenkins read, but definitely not going to be my last. I have The Seven Husbands of Evelyn, you want to call it Emma, Evelyn Hugo, on my bookshelf, and I'm looking forward to that one because that, I've heard, is so good. Basically, it's like written like a transcript of a documentary, or like reminds me a lot of verbatim theatre script, where you have like interviews of people and you use them, piece them together to make the whole play. And it's very much written, it's showing contrasting views of everything and sort of all the drama, and this fictional band that blew up in the 70s, the sort of juicy relationships between them, and sort of the fame and the rock and roll of the period. And it's just, the characters, you just love them, you love the dynamic, you can't wait to read it all. And then at the end, they have song lyrics of like their hit album, which set them wild and massive and selling out stadium tours. And it's so good they've made it into show, so you can actually listen to the music, sort of a little playlist, little theme tune for it all, which is brilliant. And so it adds to the atmosphere fantastically, and I just cannot recommend highly enough. Just so fun, so bingeable. I just love it. It's lovely. It is just so addictive, and you will not be able to stop reading this book. So here is a book that's been on my radar for literally years, and I denied myself this fascinating read for years because I was like, oh, I'll get there, and I'm so glad I did. I loved it. Black Tudors, an Untold Story by Miranda Kaufmann. You can pick it up, read a chapter about a certain historical figure, and it's very much also talking about the ordinary people rather than novice kings and queens, which, fascinating in itself. Tudor history at king and queen level there's so much drama. It very much, the opulent court very much drags you in, but it's got people from court, it's got people from parish records that living around different in the country. It's very much people in every way, strata of society in that period, and it very much brings out a whole sort of the character of them. And it's just so fascinating. History is a fascinating study of just people, of how they've different circumstances, different perceptions of the world, which is part of what I love reading. And this just gives us a nice little investigation into people that have been overlooked, the everyday people like us who it's fantastic to hear their story and to read about them and to realise that the world has always been a diverse, fascinating place, and that these people deserve to be remembered, and this is a great way to hear about them. Another book I've adored last year, and that very happy it's just moved into my head, is Queen Macbeth by McDermand. It's a nice short little read based on the Scottish play, which is my favourite of Shakespeare's play, and this centralises the historical figures that inspired Shakespeare's play. It's very much a fictional retelling of the 10th century? I think it's 9th century, one sec. End of the 10th century. So it is the 10th century, I was completely out with the 9th. End of the 10th century, which is a time where there wasn't too much written record, but it is from a historical document listing all the kings that he came up with Macbeth. I do love Macbeth and will constantly recommend the Scottish play. This is a brilliant story centralising the Queen after her Lord Macbeth has been killed in battle, where it's very much not how they amass power. It does go back in this short read, and does cover their coming together, how they came to power, and their life together with their child. But it's very much sort of after the final battle. It very much covers the Queen on the run in a very brutal medieval Scotland, where she doesn't know who she can trust a lot of the time, and she's just trying to survive after she's been overthrown. Her and her 3 most confidant women and a trusted manservant follow the plan they made if anything went wrong, and it's just, it packs a punch, and it's just a lovely little read which I just cannot recommend highly enough. Now I have a book that's just run away with my heart, captured it, planted a little flag, you know, made itself at home. Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. This was my second Brandon Sanderson book because I read Yumi and The Nightmare Painter first, and this one is just, it's my favourite and I love it. I've only read his Secret Projects. I really need to dive into his massive Cosmere-verse and the Mistborn trilogy. Well, it's a couple of trilogies, isn't it? But this, with narrated by Reid, who I adore Reid so much. Having a bard who really adds such an incredible voice to the whole story and makes it just so enjoyable to read and just so entertaining. Princess Bride-esque, which is a film I haven't watched. I know I should watch it, but it's just so magical, so whimsical, inspired by a love story, but she's not simply defined by it. She's a cup-loving woman who's just gets things done with a magical talking rat. Ooh, so much character. Very much escapism. Dive in, find just a tale that steals your heart, and you'll be able to go along with the ride and enjoy every second. Another read I found completely captivating was Femina, a new history of the Middle Ages through the woman written out of it by Janina Ramirez, which is just this fantastic history book, which, like Black Tudors, has each chapter dedicated to a different person from history who hasn't had the sort of focus completely, because the lives show so much about the time period, so much about these incredible characters from different areas of life, different ways of life, this one is much wider geographic locations. It's a fascinating selection of women who were spotlighted to show so much about some of them incredible, but also just that women have been incredible throughout history and that they deserve to have as much of a spotlight because people write about certain things that interest them, and that hasn't always been the women who didn't quite get the same documentation as the queen consorts or the queens or the wives or daughters of the big historical figures that have dominated history for centuries. But yeah, it's just a gorgeously written book which is vivid and really brings it to life, and it's just so fascinating. A couple of the women I heard before, but learning so much more about them, and it's meticulously researched and with little details that are just incredible and magical, and I cannot recommend it enough. It's amazing. And here we have a book with a beautiful cover and sprayed edge that very much lives up to this gorgeous edition. It is Saltblood by Francesca de Torres, a fantastically lyrically written fictionalized version of the life of Mary Reid, whose mother had her pretend to be her dead half-brother to keep getting money in, and then which led to her posing as a man, working in service of a big house, and then in the navy, and then in the army and then eventually in her life becoming a pirate. And it's just this wonderful little tale about this woman who has some complications with her identity because she's been putting on masks and learned to walk in certain ways, and how society's expectations of her pause and when she only really feels truly free in the sea. And it's a beautiful exploration of that. It brings to life this incredible woman who just had so many adventures and really pushed boundaries, just traveling and just live for the horizon, and who's often most comfortable in the sea, where a woman at sea is apparently a dangerous thing. And it's very much how that dynamic just shapes her sense of identity. So engaging, so captivating, so fascinating to explore, and beautifully realised, and it's very much recommend. This is the only book on this list from a series. It's the second book in the, I'm going to call it Susan Ryland series. I'm still not sure of the exact name of it, but it's Moonflower Murders by Anthony Horowitz, which is such an incredibly crafted exploration and of murder mystery, because it's sort of very much him playing with the form while giving you a really engaging plot and mystery. Well, so it is very much a book within a book format, so you get 2 murder mysteries for the price of 1. The book within the book is a golden age murder mystery with Pund, who is a wonderful detective, Jewish German after World War II, who solves crimes in England, very sort of Agatha Christie-esque vibes, while in the in-world story is basically Susan Ryland is this editor from London who has previously got embroiled in a actual murder related to one of the books she's edited, and then this is sort of after the consequences of that, because it didn't end incredibly well for her in some ways last time. This is her living in Crete, running a hotel, and then someone comes to her and basically goes, "We think that our daughter's disappearance is something to do with a book you've edited. Can you just we'll pay you to have a look at it and read the book and see if you can find anything so we can find our daughter." Well, she needs the money, she takes it on, and then the book within the book helps solve the real life murders, and it's very entwined, and all the puzzle pieces come together beautifully, and it's just love the character Susan, and it's just a brilliant read, and I really love this series, and I'm really looking forward to the next book, which is out later this year. And it's a lovely little TV adaptation, very much recommend. Now we have a book of pure magical escapism, the DallerGut, The Dream Department Store by Miye and translated from the Korean by Joosun Lee. This vibrant, intricate world building woven seamlessly into a whimsical tale, which is, and with a fantastic concept. It is a dream department store that exists in the collective subconsciousness of humanity. So when you fall asleep, head hits that pillow and you're out like a light, you're wandering around this place where all humanity comes together, and they can buy their dreams and sometimes wander around naked and be given dressing gowns because there's this whole society also living there, and it's about someone who lives there and who gets a job and works at the dream department store, and it's everyday things. We're selling like flight dreams, which apparently was out of stock, and how it's an exploration of how dreams just help people in their everyday lives, either through something to aspire to, or how dreams work through issues or can help people with problems. And it's just about how brilliant dreams are, and it's just such a heartwarming story with this lovable, just eccentric band of characters working at the store, and you follow along Penny as she learns different things about the shop and about the different dream industry and the mythology and the backstory of how they believe dreams were made and everything. And it's such an incredible story which just really warms your heart, and just you can sink into, and with different little tales, and it's fantastic. So I prefer physical books, but I only buy copies of books which I think I'm going to reread and adore, want to collect for years to come, or make my friends and family read as well. And one book that surprised me is Orbital by Samantha Harvey, and I got an ebook of it, and I read it, and I adored this book, and it's very much is at home on this list of my top 10. It's got such beautiful lyrical language that just like shines through, and it's just in this luminous little tale of these 6 astronauts on a space station orbiting the Earth, and it's sat out in this really interesting way where it's by each cycle as they rotate, and then it sort of jumps between each of them, and you learn about their worldview and their different perceptions, because they're all from different parts of the world as they've come together as a sort of an international mission. And it's just so gorgeous about this exploration of the bonds of community and when they're together, and then they sort of form this tight-knit thing where they realise that borders and things like that don't matter, and that they've got so much in common, and that they're out there with space and the vastness of space. They look down on Earth, and there's just infused with so much love for the planet and for humanity, and how they feel really almost protective of it. They just keep getting drawn back to this planet, and it's very much just filled with hope, even though it's sort of them watching this hurricane as they rotate, and then when they see the hurricane that's about to hit these islands, that aren't quite prepared to deal with it, and it's it's emotionally charged and beautiful, and shows that their lives, which they've almost come distant from, but very much introspective of, while in space, and it's just there's just so much still about humanity, and very much, and you can very much see why I won the Booker Prize. It's a gorgeous little book, which I very much recommend. I am since I want a book by Van, I haven't got a physical copy yet, but it's very much on my to get a copy of and just reread, because it is gorgeous, just a gorgeous little tale. So when I first heard of The Unmaking of Moonflower by Adrienne Young, I knew I would adore that book. I've got such a soft spot for time travel books, so I was thinking I'll wait for it to come out in paperback, since I love a good paperback. Unless there's sprayed edges, I've such a soft spot for special edition sprayed edges and hardbacks. But so I was waiting for it to come out in paperback, but then the ebook was on sale, so I brought that because I was impatient and couldn't wait, and I'm so glad I did, because I adored that book so much. It combines so many different things I have a soft spot for in a book. There's time travel, very much is used to explore the character and to test their mettle and to give them an interesting approach to family dynamics, because there's people meeting their family in different points in the timeline as June goes back in time, and the curse of her family and the sort of unraveling of their sanity due to this curse. So it's very much, and which is related to the time travel, but it also, the time travel very much links into the murder mystery, which very much a soft spot for as well, and it comes together beautifully to a richly atmospheric writing, which really draws you into this little small town which has just had their pastor murdered recently, and that June is somewhat implicated in, but there's more layers to it, and it very much wrapped up with complicated family dynamics, partly due to time travel, partly due to actions that future June has taken, and she has to deal with consequences of things she hasn't done yet, which is just a fun way of just questioning a sense of self and exploring the kind of person she is and what decisions she would make, and sort of evaluating and facing herself, as well as, which also comes as part of the mystery, and it's very much just the heart of love and family and how far people go for each other, with a really sweet romance between June and her husband Amon, which all comes together to create a fantastic book. But yeah, that is my top 10 for books that I read in 2024. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you've read any of them. Let me know what your top books of 2024 is down below, and I can see if I can add them to my little TBR and read some gorgeous books. And thank you for listening to me yap on about these beauties. I'll see you soon.